A lot of people are picking up on these two words, sound healing, lately. I'm hearing it more and more in my circles. Even somebody hit me up on Facebook and said, "Do you know anybody that does sound baths?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And she's phenomenal at it and does heal through the vibrations of the sound. And we can go deeper into that. We've talked about that if you want to look back on her YouTube channel and just even Google uh, her and podcasts. You can hear all about it, how it works. But what's interesting is she'll play with an intention. And today it's an intention that, well, a topic that we all have struggled with, and that is fear. And there's more. So we're going to get into that. Barb Sounds is back with us. She's a sound healer. Hey, Barb, how are you?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. Now, you're going to play with the intention of helping people with fear, and it's a real thing. I love the acronym, by the way. False evidence appearing real, because a lot of times the
Yes.
fear that we have doesn't really exist. We worry about these things. There's even a number I see. I think it's now 93% in recent studies that the stuff we worry about never even materializes, doesn't even happen, but we still fear it. So
Yep.
we're going to try and get above that right now with your playing, but you're also going to play for courage. Do I have this right?
hmm Yes, you do. Yes. And
How?
that sounds like it's completely opposite, but I think one of the things, I mean, first of all, we all live with fear. Like, fear is there. It's not always like in the forefront, but mostly things happen and we're afraid of maybe things we imagine might happen. We might be afraid of something that's right in front of us. We might be afraid of what's going to be the result of something that happened in the past. I mean, it's a very complicated fear,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody gets by living down here on the planet without any fear. But people think that courage, well, I think there's two things that we all kind of think that are not very helpful. And one is that we can get rid of fear because we can't get rid of fear. I mean,
Hmm.
fear is going to be there. Um, but the other thing is we have a misconception of courage, and courage is not the opposite of fear, and it's not the absence of fear. Courage is when we're afraid, but we do something anyway. Now, that's not that you means that it doesn't mean if you're like a truck is about to hit you that you should jump in front of it to like pretend you don't have any fear or whatever, right? But what stops us mostly is not the fear, but the not having the courage, like not kind of saying, okay, I'm afraid of doing this because why? Because I don't know how it's going to turn out. That's the really biggie. We don't know what's going to happen in the next minute, next hour, the next part of our life. And so that can just put us into all kinds of fear, which, like you say, doesn't, always turn out to be that way. So courage isn't not having any fear. It's not like, being courageous, being brave, but being courageous means that even though I don't know how something is going to turn out, as long as I, make sure on a really basic level that it's not going to hurt me. It's more that we don't we hold back a lot. If we don't have a lot of courage, we hold back a lot and we let our fears overcome how we want to live our life and what we want to do. And so I think we'll see how it turns out. But
Hmm.
when I'm playing today, I think, it's not playing to make fear go down and courage up. It's kind of playing to help make fear and courage meet in your cells, like in your body, in your frequency, in your mind, in your thoughts.
Would you say that the courage is the courage to face your fears?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
it's
why there's a good synergy between the two things that you're going to play.
is the
The-
courage to face your fear, but then also the courage to act in spite of
okay.
your fear. And
And
those are two different things, and they're and then they're critical to go together.
and for those who aren't aware, have never seen you play before, you set the intention, you play the sounds for that intention. If somebody is listening, we all have fear. Is it for fears you're facing now, fears you're facing in the future, contemplating all of that?
Yeah, it can be specific. It can be a specific fear that somebody's struggling with that they want to kind of get a handle on. It could be just like overall anxiety. I mean, anxiety comes from fear. So it could be that, people are thinking like, I never really do what I want to do because I'm always too afraid. I think that's true for a lot of us, no matter how young or old we are and, where we live and whatever. And so I think sometimes people want to kind of get out of that. It's to get out of that pattern.
Yeah. And even, I know people that do the same types of things, same tasks. And one day they have no problem. The next day they don't do them, or I'll get to that. I'll get to, because they have a fear of either screwing it up or the outcome of it. So I think this is a good one today.
Yeah,
Definitely feel, definitely
it's
feel
good.
it.
Well, see,
Yeah.
and I don't think people, when people are listening, I mean, if you have a specific fear or something that you're struggling with, you can bring that to the forefront, and obviously, then that will help with the healing for you. But if you don't, I mean, you can just be open and curious while you're listening to, oh, because when I'm playing, when I'm playing and I'm playing different gongs and different bowls, the sounds are dancing with each other. The sounds are dancing all over the place, and is going into your body, through your ears, and when you're listening, and it's making your cells dance. And
Wow.
we don't dance when we're afraid.
Yeah, true.
So
This is true.
so when I'm playing today, what's going to happen, I think, and we'll see, is that fear and courage are going to dance together.
Interesting. I never thought about that, but you're not dancing when you're afraid.
No.
And it comes right down to a cellular level. When you absorb the vibrations of the sound, your cells are dancing, if you will.
Mhm.
There's some kind of movement there. Wow. Every time I
Yeah.
talk with you, I learn something. Pick up something. There's always something there.
So
Well,
do I, actually.
and you know what? If you want to reach out to us, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com, have a comment or anything about Barb's playing. And you ready? Want
That
to do
would
it?
be great. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Beautiful.
Oops. I shut my video off there. That
There
was
we go.
wrong.
You're going to switch over
I'm
to
going to
your
switch over
studio.
to my studio.
I'm going to hide
And I'm
me
going
so
to,
we can look at you.
good. And then I'm putting my sound on. All right. So let's everyone take a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. 3 deep breaths in and out. And as you breathe out on the first one, let go of all of the stress that you're feeling in your body. And when you take the next deep breath in and out, let go of all your thoughts right now. And the third time you breathe in and out, just let go of all your feelings. And then we'll all of us be open together to what the sounds will do.
I'm trying to decide if I noticed a difference this time. And it seemed that it may have been more soothing. And I don't know
Hmm.
why. I don't know why. More midtones, not to get like musically technical, but uh
Yeah.
not too bassy, not too much of the high ends, with the triangles and things like that, wind chimes that you've done in the past. There was more kind of in the center in terms of frequencies. At least that's my interpretation of it. But when you play, you're not trying to play any certain way. You're just playing, right?
No, I play what I call intuitively, which means that basically it's a form of channeling. So I let the energy of the people who are listening to me, and they don't have to be in my studio or even on Zoom, but everybody who's listening today and everybody who's going to be listening in the future, I channel that energy through me and into instruments, and then they channel back out through me. So I'm
Wow.
basically playing very, very intuitively. So I do not make decisions in my mind about which gong I'm going to play and for how long and all that stuff. I just I just play like in the flow.
That's another thing. How do you know when you're done?
Well, that's the same. I know when I'm done the same way that I know which gong to play next. Like I'm just it's kind of like it's not like having a little voice in your head, but it's more like a feeling. I mean, we have intuition mostly through our bodies. So I feel in my body, like my body kind of sends a message to my mind, which kind of says, okay, like that's good. Let's move on.
Hmm.
Right. Or I will look at the next gong I'm playing, but I'm not looking at it because I decided to play it. That's just where I look. That's where I go.
It,
And
it's almost as if, and I've often heard, like if you're going to go to a gem store and pick out a gem,
mhm,
I guess selenite here, that
yep.
you're supposed to look at it and touch it and let it speak to you, and then you'll know that's the one that you're supposed to select. It kind of sounds the same way with the
Yes.
gong, where you said you just look and look up, there's the one. I'm going to hit that one now.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
I get up from where I'm playing and I look. And for me, when I choose crystals, because I mean I've used them a lot in my own healing and stuff, but when I choose a new crystal, what I do, because my hands are very sensitive, just from being a Reiki master and stuff, my hands are very sensitive to energy. So if this is the crystal, then I just put my hand over top of it like that, and I can feel the energy coming up from the crystal. And mostly I'll feel it as heat. So if I put my hand over one crystal and there's no heat, it's not a good one for me. Doesn't mean it's a bad one for everybody. It's just not a good one for me. And sometimes I'll go over like a bunch of them and it's a little warm, or there's not much, and then all of a sudden I'll put my hand over one and it'll be like I put my hand over fire.
Wow. Yeah. Super cool. When you first started playing, did you detect those kinds of things? Was it yeah, did you feel the same things when you first started playing, way back when?
No, no, because I wasn't as familiar with the instruments, and my mind was getting in the way a lot more.
Ah, okay.
And
Overthinking it.
I think I told you once before that when I was first starting out to do the full sound baths, like with the bowls and the gongs, and I play the bowls first, and I'd be sitting for the first, sometimes, for the first like 2 or 3 minutes, and I'd be playing the bowls, and they'd be sounding quite fine, but my mind would be like, because our minds tend to be more critical than supportive, or at least mine is. Right. And so my mind would be saying the whole time I'm playing that, my mind would be in there like somebody like talking over my shoulder and going, oh, that's not nearly loud enough. Oh, this is not going to sound very good. Oh, this is not going to relax everybody. And those are all I mean, given our topic today, those are all my fears, right? Those were all my fears when I was starting to play. But then that
Ah,
got in the way of playing, because then I'm not feeling the energy of the playing, and I'm not just moving through that. It's kind of like, how we were talking about fear, we're talking about dancing, right? Well, who are the good dancers? The good dancers are not me probably, but The good dancers are the people who are not, when they're dancing, thinking about how they look, thinking about what they're going to do next, thinking about how they're going to move their body, thinking about whether or not everybody's liking how they're dancing. The people who are the best dancers are the people who are just in it, like in the flow, like they're just dancing, you know. And they may not be dancing in a way that you like, but I mean, they're dancing in a way that they like. And if they're doing that, that's the kind of, like, that's the flow, and that's the kind of getting, it's not like putting your mind, 6 feet under in the ground. It's like putting your mind just aside for a little bit. So
Well,
you
hasn't
get,
it been said, dance like nobody's watching? So,
yeah, yeah,
you get to the point where it's like, I love to dance. I I know I'm good at it because I've worked at it all these years, and I'm just going to do my thing, and I hope somebody likes it. That's it. I'm doing it for me.
yeah. But there's working for being good at certain dance moves or whatever, right? So that you can look good to other people. And then there's like, working to just let yourself go.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I guess there's also performance dancing where it's just one person on the stage
Yeah.
and they're dancing and they're just feeling the
Yeah.
energy, the music, the
Yeah.
intention, all of that,
Yeah.
and they kind of just do their thing. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for people like that. Uh,
And that's how
there,
I play. That's how I play now, but is
yeah,
certainly not how I played at the beginning,
I got you.
because I thought there was some way. I know I had to figure out like what were the different sounds and all that kind of thing. But I mean, the gongs were an even better teacher than the bowls. The gongs were a great teacher for that, because you cannot, even if you wanted to, even if I wanted to, I could not make one of my gongs play the same thing twice.
Of
I
course not.
can't.
Yeah.
I can't. So when you can't do that and you can't do any pattern, right? Then, and I watched a video of a quite well-known gong player, I think from Northern Europe. And I watched one of his videos once when I was first starting out. And he was talking about how you have to, when you're playing, you're not thinking about the sound and you're not making the sound and you're not deciding on the sound. You are following it. And you're following it in a dance. And so he would take his mallet to show people and he'd just bang the gong once. And then he would stand there and he would do this whole beautiful choreography with his hands like all around the gong and then up and down. And he was following where the sound was going. Right. And that's what you have to do.
Hmm. I just got a visual here of what you do compared to. So here's my comparison. What I said before, where you have somebody doing a performance dance and they're just feeling it and they have an intention and they're just
Mm-hmm.
dancing. That's
Mm-hmm.
you. And
Yeah.
then you have somebody who, let's say, is in a band or plays a certain rhythm and it's kind of they play the same thing every time. It's going to sound different. It's
Yeah.
never going to be exactly the same because you can never hit, a drum head the same way. You can never strum a guitar the same way. It's always going to be a little nuance, a little bit different, but they're playing it in a certain way. Um, and it's syncopated where it's a free form and you're just feeling it.
Yeah. Well, when you make a sound, whether or not it's an instrument that people play, or it's, things like my gongs, when you make a sound, you can be in 3 different places. One, you can be in front of the sound, which is what we mostly do, because that means you're thinking of you're not listening to the sound you're playing right now. You're going to the next one. Like I'm not a great guitar player when I'm playing my guitar, when I'm playing one, chord, and especially if I'm about to hop to a chord that I don't know very well, I'm thinking about that as I'm playing the first chord. And you're not really in the music, right?
Right,
And
right.
then the other way is to be like right in the middle of the music. And in that case, you sometimes lose yourself in the middle of the music and you forget what you're doing. So you would miss notes. Like if you're playing in an orchestra, you can't be in the sound. You can't be in front of the sound, because then you're not paying attention to the sounds you're making. But you can't be in the sound either, because then you forget that you have to do another one, right?
Gotcha.
And so the best place to be for any musician, or I think, or for anybody who's playing sounds, is to be behind the sound, just a little bit, not a whole lot. So you're following. So as the sounds are going, you're actually following the sound because you're a little bit behind.
I truly believe that it's underrated. What sound and music can do. Yeah, we all love music, but we don't realize what it's doing. We just
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I like that song." Uh, we're out of time. If somebody wants to reach out to you, I know that you offer a free introductory sound bath, right?
Yep. for 30 minutes.
And like literally somebody just reaches out, set an appointment, and you'll play.
Yep.
Could they say what's going on in their lives and you could play with that intention?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Super cool.
So they can go right now, they can go to heal.me, like the website heal.me/Barb Sounds. And that's how you can book your 30 minutes. Or you can just send me an email if you want, which is sometimes easier for people, to barbsounds3@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And now for my public sound baths, like my group sound baths, which are on barbsounds.eventbrite.ca. Those ones, I've changed it so that the tickets can be you can either click free or you can either pay the price.
Gotcha.
So your first, if you're brand new, you could go to a group sound bath, which is an hour, but there'll be other people there, so it's not as personalized. But you can choose the free one for the first time. And I had somebody do that last week for my group sound bath, and she had just Googled sound bath on Eventbrite. She found me and she clicked free. Now, and I keep track of who comes. So if she comes again, then she has to pay, right? But for the first one, you can use.
And fair enough, because she got a freebie.
Yeah. Exactly.
And why wouldn't you? Definitely reach out. Have no fear. Barb is here, right?
Yep.
Have no fear. After today, we should have
just
no
think
fear.
of fear and courage dancing together in you, and it's a much better kind of feeling.
Love it. Barb, always great having you on here. Always learn a lot, and appreciate you and look forward next time you play.